Michelle Wolf needs to apologize to America. Hey, it's Prince of Queens, and over the weekend, a comedian I had previously never heard of named Michelle Wolf delivered a 20-minute set of comedy at the White House, and oh boy, my mostly homosexual friend list was lit ablaze, talking about the alleged controversy. Fam. According to this article, conservatives walked out. But in watching the footage, I saw no evidence of that. Perhaps one or two people decided to get a drink or go to the bathroom or something, and they happened to be conservative. Whatever it was, it certainly wasn't like the Democrats showing up to the State of the Union address dressed like it was a formal gathering for professional tennis players. Regardless, on my Facebook timeline, this comedic act wasn't actually all that much of a controversy because I did not see a single person on my friend list of over 1,000 people, nor any of their friends, actually condemning her in any way. Because, believe it or not, gay guys and even some lesbians can take jokes. Sometimes. Especially if they are coming from somebody that they think is on their side. Still, I definitely think that it would be in Michelle Wolf's best interest to make a brief apology, but not for the reasons you are likely thinking. So maybe watch this whole video before commenting. No, I'm not some triggered right-wing snowflake that can't take a joke, as the intersectionals often love to deem me. Remember, kids, I'm not even right-wing, and I actually found a lot of her set rather funny, at least at times. Truthfully, I am completely fine with comedy that pokes fun at every angle. I actually think that it should be encouraged. And of course, everybody has their biases, so on account of the fact that she's certainly a lot funnier than somebody like Samantha Bee or Trevor Noah, we might as well give credit where credit is due. So let's go over the funny parts. Towards the end, I don't want to show this, but she took a quick jab at CNN, reminding us that they've gone the Fox News route, which is pretty nice, coming from an obviously left-wing comedian. I suppose when a ship is well over 90% sunk, it's okay to publicly abandon it. But more so, aside from all of the jokes making fun of Republicans, which might have been vaguely funny but honestly have simply bored me ever since the Bush years, I liked these jokes in particular.
I know there's a lot of people that want me to talk about Russia and Putin and collusion, but I'm not going to do that because there's also a lot of liberal media here, and I've never really wanted to know what any of you look like when you orgasm. Except for maybe you, Jake Tapper. I bet it's something like this. Okay, that's all the time we have.
See, that's actually quite funny, as it admits to the fact that the Russia stories are basically just media hype. She then immediately goes on.
It is kind of crazy that the Trump campaign was in contact with Russia when the Hillary campaign wasn't even in contact with Michigan. It's a direct flight. It's so close.
That joke is great. And what's funny and rather genius about it is that the people she's making fun of, the Democrats, are largely probably unaware of why it's funny to people like myself. You see, she's not simply saying that Hillary Clinton wasn't campaigning well enough in Michigan like the Democrats probably think that she's saying, but she's subtly implying in one sentence that it's completely absurd to blame the election result on foreign collusion when the candidate that lost wasn't even talking to their own nation. She might as well have said, "Why would he talk to Russia? Clearly he didn't have to, dumbasses." Furthermore, I also felt that the following was a subtle FU to feminism and the hashtag #MeToo witch hunts.
I watch Morning Joe every morning. We now know that Mika and Joe are engaged. Congratulations, you guys. It's like when a Me Too works out.
Clearly, at least to me, the joke here isn't that their engagement came as a result of sexual harassment, but rather, the joke is funny because the Me Too madness has conflated practically every act of flirtation to sexual harassment. So yeah, for all of the booty-bothered right-wing people that might get bent out of shape about any given joke, you can go ahead and do that if you want. And maybe some of the jokes about Republicans were in poor taste for reasons that I didn't think of. But overall, she was joking about everybody. So grow a pair. However, I do have a few problems with certain things that she said. You see, there's two things that she slipped in very quickly right next to each other that I could have definitely done without, mainly because they weren't actually really even jokes, at least not to millions and millions of completely paranoid left-wing media following Americans. First, she says this.
Trump is so broke. He had to borrow money from the Russians, and now he's compromised and not susceptible to blackmail and possibly responsible for the collapse of the Republic. Yay! It's a fun game.
What? Huh? I mean, at least she fumbled her words and it just sounded altogether way too forced, silly, and as if she didn't even really want to say it, but did so anyway, as if it was one of the only reasons that she was allowed to perform. However, my main criticism is this.
Trump is racist, though. He loves white nationalists, which is a weird term for a Nazi. Calling a Nazi a white nationalist is like calling a pedophile a kid friend. Or Harvey Weinstein a ladies' man.
See, that's just messed up that she would say that. Not the joke about the white nationalists being pedophiles or whatever, because I really don't care what she says about that. But what bothers me is the framing of her statement. She just goes ahead and says, Trump is racist, though. He loves white nationalists. I'm just over here thinking, huh? It's the current year and you're still saying that? According to who? Where's the evidence? Which white nationalists does he love? Do you count Steve Bannon as a white nationalist? Don't they not even talk to each other anymore? Where's the evidence for Steve Bannon being a white nationalist in the first place? See, it's not the joke part of the statement that bugs me. It's the presupposition that framed the joke, as it is based on an easily observable, objective falsehood, which is the idea that Trump loves white nationalists. I mean, seriously, since when? Last time I checked, he was saying,
racism is evil. And those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans.
That was close to a year ago, but of course, some people say that he gets along well with could be said by some other people to be white nationalists, and of course, also, never forget that my channel gets accused of being alt-right, so maybe none of this matters? I don't know, I just found that line rather disappointing coming from a mostly rather courageous and shameless comedian. I mean, you can go ahead and roast people on the GOP administration all you want, in my book, and forget to make fun of the Democrats if you are more concerned with the people in the White House. That's fine. But what you're doing when you repeat these unsubstantiated rumors about Trump being literally Hitler who loves white nationalists, you're repeating a claim that has caused a massive amount of actual violence that we have video evidence for. Millions of Americans literally do believe that Trump loves white nationalists, and at least a few hundred of them are willing to commit violence because of it. We've seen it over and over. That all said, Are words violence, and was Michelle Wolf's speech inciting violence, in my opinion? No, I think that would be taking it a bit too far, especially considering the high probability that she legitimately believes that Trump loves a few white nationalists, which I will assume is the case in order to be charitable to her. However, she did make a demonstrably untrue claim, and these claims do definitely lead to observable violence. So even if she doesn't get sued for slander or whatever by the President of the United States of reality television, it might be a good idea for her to correct herself. That's just my opinion. However, we should all remember that she said some great stuff too. Like this.
There's a ton of news right now. A lot is going on, and we have all these 24-hour news networks, and we could be covering everything. But instead, we're covering like 3 topics. Every hour, it's Trump, Russia, Hillary, and a panel of 4 people that remind you why you don't go home for Thanksgiving. Milk comes from nuts now, all because of the gays.
And then this.
You guys are obsessed with Trump. Did you used to date him? Because you pretend like you hate him, but I think you love him. I think what no one in this room wants to admit is that Trump has helped all of you. He couldn't sell steaks or vodka or water or college or ties or Eric. But he has helped you. He's helped you sell your papers and your books and your TV. You helped create this monster, and now you're profiting off of him.